Hi, welcome to Amanda Nolan, that's me, YouTube channel, Nation of Readers. This is episode one, numero uno, guys. I'm pretty excited about this. I hope you are too. So basically, I just wanted to start off our series with creating reading excitement in the classroom. So I've been teaching third grade for 5 years, and teaching is a work of art, but it's an art of performing. So we are performing in front of students every single day. So I just wanted to give you today 3 tips on how to create excitement in your classroom when it comes to reading. So your students are going to come to you with a plethora of backgrounds. They all have their specific reading journey that they've already been on. And so here's how I think you can make it the most exciting journey for them this school year. So, step number one is to reflect on yourself. So, when I start off this new school year, I have to think about what have I been doing in my own reading life? Because if I have not been intentional with my own reading life, how can I expect my students to be intentional with their reading life? So I start off the school year thinking about what have I read this summer or whenever you start school, what have you been reading lately? What do you like to read? You have to be truthful here, friends, because if we tell students that we love to read the dictionary when we really don't, they're going to see through that. Kids are actually very intuitive, and they're going to know when you're lying. So you need to make sure that you have a list of books that you do enjoy reading. Now, if it's the romance novels that you've really liked to indulge in, let's not share that with the students, okay? But maybe there's another part of a series, I don't know, that you can find that you can get into that maybe has a little bit of romance, but you don't have to go into those parts for the kids. So basically, you have to be a reader yourself. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't have time for reading. You do. You do have time to read. We just have to be real and honest. Like, you have to find the time to read. If you expect your students to read, you need to make it a priority for yourself too. Now, it doesn't have to be books that you read. Kids are very technological savvy these days. You can talk to them about what blogs that you like to read. You can talk to them about your interests, like you like to garden. So you research a lot of things about seeds and how to garden, how to plant things. And it doesn't have to be books, but you have to have something that you're interested in and that you like to read. And you have to share that excitement with your students because, again, they understand when you're lying, and you have to have some kind of things that excite you when it comes to reading in order to excite them. So that's number one. Step one was reflect on yourself. Step two, you have to invest in your students. Now, I don't mean money. You don't have to invest money. You have to invest time. Time is the most valuable resource you have because it's your most limited resource as a teacher, but also it's the most powerful resource. If the students don't feel like you invest time in them to get to know them, they're not going to be listening to what you have to say. Um, Ever. They're not going to want to take advice from you. So you really, really have to be intentional with the time that you invest in them. So I have a few things that I think you can do to just start to invest some time in your students. Step one, do an interest survey. I do this at the beginning of the year. I don't just find out what they like to read because let's be honest, a lot of these kids did not read over the summer. So I start with what TV shows, what video games, what sports, what hobbies do you like? So when I start to get to know them in that capacity, I can start to formulate a picture as to, okay, what makes this kid tick? So let's kind of step two, talk to them, find out what interests them, what motivates them. Because if you can find what motivates a kid, you've got that luck. So find out what motivates them, invest the time in them, spend your lunchtime with a few kids. It's hard sometimes for teachers to give up that personal time because you're like, oh, that's the only time I have to myself for my sanity. But when you limit it to one or two kids that you're having lunch with, two is probably ideal, then you can have those conversations that are actually enjoyable with them and really get to know who they are. And kids are pretty funny. So you never know what you're going to hear. So invest the time. So let's review. Step one, reflect on you. Step two, invest in them. Get them excited about themselves and who they are. So then it comes to step three. Once you've done step one and two, Step 3 is an easy transition. So you recommend books. You have to kind of do a little bit of homework. So remember when I said step 1, you have to be reading? Personally, I read a lot of kids' books. If I'm not reading them, how can I honestly recommend them? You wouldn't go up to your friend and say, "Hey, I think you should read Girl Wash Your Face. Seems like a really good book." You've given them nothing to go on. You've given them no details as to what the book's about. But when you've read that book and you say, "You know what? I know that you're going to like chapter 3 in Girl Wash Your Face because it spoke to me and it made me think of you." Give them maybe one more details than that. I'd have to go look to see what chapter 3 is about. But anyway, when you give them details like that, they can't resist but say, "Oh, yeah, I would love that book. Do you have that book? I'll borrow it. I'll bring it back to you." So just think about in your adult life, if you're going to recommend a book to somebody, you probably should read it. Same as a teacher, same as a parent. If you're going to recommend a book for your child or your student, read the book. I know that you have to start somewhere, so you may not have read every book in your library, and that's okay, but just start today. Pick up one of those books. It will probably take you 2 nights to get through one of those children's books. And it really has a huge impact when you say, "Hey, I read this book and it made me think of you because of X, Y, and Z." And then that student goes, "Oh my gosh, my teacher knows me. She understands me. And of course, I want to read this book now." So you need to recommend books to them based on their interests from step 1 and 2. You need to have them start to recommend books to each other. Oh, this is so powerful. So once you get them all excited about reading because you've given them these personalized books, then you start to say, "Hey, did you enjoy that book? If you enjoyed that book, oh, take the sticky note, write like a sentence as to why you love this book and plop it on the cover of that book. And we're just going to hang it up here so everyone can see." And then all of a sudden, you just have kids as they're lining up to go to lunch saying, "Oh my gosh, I love this book. You should read this book too." So it's really powerful just starting with you recommending books, kids start to recommend books. And then the third part of step 3 is now we kind of know a little bit of like what kind of books we like. We have a niche. I love mysteries. Ooh, I love these sports books. I love these books. So they kind of know themselves as a reader more now. And then they can start to research other books that are like that. They can start to research what books they want to read next and start to create a list of books that they want to read. And it's just really powerful. So I have lots of ideas for different videos. This is just the first one, which was how can you create reading excitement within your classroom and really motivate those kids to want to read. So if you've got more ideas for me or things you want to hear from me, please comment below. Please subscribe to my channel and let me know what you want to hear. And again, any constructive criticism would be great. This is my first time. So thanks again. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.